They will test themselves. They will push, nudge, and explore even the parts of you that are cloaked in armor. As soon as they find one, they will continue until you have nothing left for protection. To never be troubled again, you must stop being available. To stop being controlled, you must cease to be predictable. The weak hide behind kindness, believing it will protect them, while the strong hide behind distance, because distance works. In this world, boundaries are not given. They are established through steel and silence. Machiavelli said it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But here is the truth that no one acknowledges. When no one can read you, they cannot touch you. If you are ready to make your mind so inviolable that it seems inhuman, listen closely and write this in the comments right now. My silence is my fortress. This is the first rule of a cold mind, and tonight you will learn the rest. The first is the elimination of access. Most people give too much of themselves, time, attention, emotions, as if it costs them nothing. This is weakness disguised as generosity. Every moment you are available to anyone, you teach them that your life belongs to them. The Machiavellian mind operates differently. It restricts access to the surrounding commodity. You become a locked safe, and not everyone will get the key. When someone tries to pull you into their drama, you do not respond. You disappear. When they demand answers, you give none. The less you give, the more control you maintain. You will feel the urge to explain yourself to soften the blow of your absence. Kill that urge. Strength grows in silence, not in explanations. Write this down right now. Access to me must be earned, and remember, when you control who can reach you, you control who can hurt you. The second is the power of emotional coldness. Emotions are levers that people use to move you. Anger, guilt, pity. They are not just feelings. They are weapons. And in the wrong hands, they become chains that wrap around your mind. Every reaction you give proves that they can reach you. Every outburst of anger, every drop of guilt, every moment of pity tells them where to press next. Therefore, a cold mind not only controls its emotions, but transforms them into a personal language that no one can read. When someone tries to provoke you, understand what they are doing. They do not just want to upset you. They want proof that matters in your mind. If you give in, if you snap back, if you explain yourself, you hand them the keys to your mental kingdom. This is not strength. It is surrender. Therefore, you give them nothing. No verbal response, no change in breath, no tremor in your face, maintaining a steady tone, a confident gaze, an unchanging rhythm. It is not that you feel nothing. It is that you choose what leaves your fortress. This is not weakness or apathy. This is calculated resistance. It is a refusal to allow anyone to dictate your state of being. This is the paradox. When you do this long enough, people begin to fear silence more than outbursts. They fear calmness because calmness means you are thinking, observing, deciding what will happen next, and it is always on your terms. In a Machiavellian sense, this weapon is far more powerful than aggression. Aggression burns out quickly. Emotional coldness can last indefinitely, and when those around you cannot predict your emotional weather, they begin to tiptoe around you, afraid to make a misstep. The real advantages come from uncertainty in their minds and confidence in yours. You will feel the urge to respond with words, to justify yourself. This urge is yours. Your enemy, destroy it. Each time you resist the impulse to react, You sharpen the blade of your mental weapon, and the longer you hold it in reserve, the more dangerous you become, because they will never see the strike coming. You must practice this in small conflicts before it works in serious ones, starting by restraining your reaction in trivial moments, delays, insults, and minor issues. Make your composure an ironclad habit. By the time you face a serious confrontation, your coldness will become second nature, unyielding, unattainable. Repeat this now. My calmness is my weapon. Write it down to see it, say it to feel it. Because when your emotions are untouchable, your power is absolute. And when your power is absolute, no one will dare to test it twice. Now, regarding the tactics of disappearance, power is often not seized in a confrontation. It is taken in your absence. The most dangerous step you can take is not to attack, but to completely withdraw. When you disappear from places where you are expected, you disrupt their rhythm, and in human interaction, rhythm is control. People, in creating habits, are dependent on predictability. Your availability, your responses, your presence, all of this becomes part of the template they rely on. This template is their map to reach you, understand you, control you. Erase yourself from this map, and you lead them into disorientation. This is the first true act of disappearance. It is not weakness, nor is it retreat. It is a calculated deprivation. You deprive them of the influence of information, the confidence that makes them comfortable. When they cannot find you, they cannot touch you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot make plans against you. The less they see you, the more they begin to wonder what you are doing. And this wondering turns into doubt, doubt into uncertainty. They lose confidence, into fear. This is the psychology of absence. When people cannot see your next move, they begin to invent it in their minds, and their imagination will always make you more dangerous than reality ever could. Machiavelli understood this in the political sphere. When a ruler rarely appears, their presence carries more weight. This same principle applies to personal power. Mystery. It is leverage. Scarcity creates value. If you are always around, you become commonplace. If you disappear, you become rare. But what is the secret? There is no need to announce your disappearance. There is no need for dramatic farewells or to declare a break. This is a performance, and a performance invites negotiation. True disappearance happens quietly, like a surgeon's operation. You simply reduce your presence until it creates the impression that you have evaporated. You leave questions unanswered. You decline invitations without explanations. You do not show up where you are expected. Without warning. Silence is your message. But in this silence, you are not inactive. You are honing yourself. You work in the shadows. You make moves that no one can trace. The point is not to hide out of fear, but to prepare in secret. By the time of your return, you are no longer the person they saw last. You become stronger, colder. And here is the second truth. Absence turns you into a myth. A myth cannot be touched because it partially lives in the minds of others. They will speculate about your motives. They will attribute meaning to your actions. They will debate what you are thinking, what you are planning. And all this time, you control the only thing that matters. You decide when to reappear. When that happens, the change is obvious. They are cautious. They choose their words carefully. They watch for signs, not knowing what might provoke your next disappearance. This is not uncertainty. It is a leash that you hold. You have taught them to value your presence because they understand that it can disappear without warning. And as soon as they begin to fear its loss, you no longer need to fight for respect. It has already been earned. Write this down right now. I appear when I decide. Say this because the person who decides when and where they appear controls the terms of every interaction. And in the game of power, control over the terms is control over the outcome. The fourth point is that the currency of indifference, attention, is the most valuable currency in human interaction. The moment someone realizes that you crave their attention, you have already paid them with your power. Indifference is its opposite. Notice when you do not need their approval, their recognition, or even their attention to feel whole. And here is the truth. The one who needs less always controls the one who needs more. When someone tries to bait you with insults, you give them nothing. When they showcase something to provoke envy, you give them nothing. When they withhold something to make you chase after it, you give them nothing. This is passive resistance. It is an active denial of their power. Your lack of reaction drives them into a vacuum where their tactics collapse. Indifference is the pretense that you do not care. This is a true absence of need for what they offer. You need to build your mind and your life so solidly that no one becomes a necessity. This is why most people fail. They try to appear cold, hiding from the world's thirst for attention. But a trained mind does not feel the break because it draws strength from within. There are no fluctuating moods of others. Machiavelli understood this in politics. When a ruler demonstrates the ability to act without certain allies, those allies begin to scramble, striving to remain significant. The same law applies in personal life. If you want someone to stop believing they possess a part of you, show them that you can exist in full strength without them. Do this so well that they begin to doubt whether you even noticed their absence. Your goal is not to be cruel, but to be unavailable for manipulation. When you stop being a commodity for compliments, attention, or approval, you become the rarest thing in the modern world. A person who cannot be controlled. Write this down right now. I am my own source. Write this and believe it, because when you master indifference, you gain leverage of influence. And having mastered the leverage of influence, you no longer worry about the non-entity. The art of psychological restraint, the strongest defense, is not a wall, not a weapon, and not even actions, but a strong defense, a threat of consequences, without the need to reveal what exactly those consequences will be. When people believe that approaching you, whether out of disrespect or attempts at manipulation, could cost them dearly, loss of status, comfort, or peace of mind, they approach with caution. This caution is your victory before the first move. This is psychological restraint, the invisible armor of a Machiavellian mind, which an ordinary person lacks. They desperately want to be loved, understood, and accepted, making themselves too safe, too open, too available. The problem is that by being too easily accessible, you invite people into your space who do not respect your boundaries, who do not intend to contribute, but only yearn to take. A cold mind acts differently. It does not scream for attention, does not beg for recognition, and certainly does not open doors for everyone. Instead, it creates a presence, a certain aura that makes others think twice before approaching too closely. It is a pause, that's all. In that pause, they ask themselves questions. Is the risk worth it? What will happen if I cross the line? Will I regret the attempt? This is doubt, the seed you want to plant in everyone you deal with. Once it is planted, it grows on its own. People begin to act cautiously, becoming more attentive to their words, carefully choosing their tone in your presence, all without your direct warning. Your reputation becomes your first line of defense, not because you boast about what you are capable of, not because you threaten, but because you behave in a way that makes others feel the possibility of consequences. They do not know what exactly you can do. They only know that it will not be in their favor. This is far more effective than any overt display of aggression. Here lies the paradox. At the moment you loudly try to intimidate someone, you invite them to test you. It becomes a contest of pride. But when your restraint is subtle, quiet, and unspoken, there is nothing to dispute. It can only be respected. Loud intimidation is a cheap trick. Quiet restraint is priceless. Machiavelli understood this principle well. He wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot have both qualities. But more importantly, he knew that the threat of losing your favor often outweighs the fear of direct retaliation. So how do you create this quiet restraint? By controlling three things with precision: your words, your expressions, and your silences. Your words are measured. There are never too many or too few. You do not reveal your biography to strangers and do not explain every action you take. You speak with intention and only when necessary. This shows people that your voice has value. Your expression is restrained. No one should be able to fully read your emotional state from your face. If you are insulted, your gaze remains steady. If you are provoked, your posture does not change. If you are entertained, you allow yourself a slight smile. But you never show a full smile that reveals your intention. Your silence becomes a weapon. A pause before answering a question makes people wonder what you are thinking. Refusing to respond to certain provocations makes people reconsider their approach. Silence is uncomfortable for most people, but for you, it becomes a space of control. The key is not to pretend to have this presence, but to truly embody it. You cannot pretend to be unshakable. You must become unshakable. This comes through inner work. Detaching from unnecessary attachments, building a life independent of others' approval, and learning to react based on principles rather than impulses. When you cultivate this presence long enough, you will notice changes. People begin to approach you with greater respect. They think twice before asking for your time. Disrespect becomes rare. Problems stop coming your way. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. You have altered the cost-benefit ratio in the minds of others, and most decide that testing you is simply not worth the potential losses. And that is the essence of psychological restraint. People stop trying to disturb you, not because you are fighting them, but because they themselves decide that the risk is too great. You have won before the battle could even begin. Remember this: my presence, my shield. Write this down, remember it. Because when your presence itself becomes a restraining factor, you do not need to fight. Battle never comes to you, and this is the highest form of defense. A defense born not of force, but of perception. In a world drowning in noise, the rarest weapon is absence. Not just physical absence, but also mental and emotional rarity. The less you give, the more valuable you become. The more accessible you are, the more ordinary you will seem. Rarity transforms your presence from something forgettable into something unforgettable. When you control your access, your presence ceases to be a routine. It becomes an event, and events are respected. They are sought after. Most people are dependent on availability. They rush into every interaction as if their value depends on how much they are noticed. They show up at every event, answer every call, and react to every message. They fear leaving a conversation without their participation, terrified of missing a moment in someone else's life. They believe that constant presence creates connection. This is not true. It breeds complacency. People stop valuing what is always in front of them. They stop trying to preserve what they know will never disappear. Machiavelli understood this many centuries ago. He noted that when a ruler is constantly in the public eye, familiarity begins to erode authority. Seeking familiarity weakens respect. But a ruler who is rarely seen, who appears only in decisive moments, captures attention immediately upon arrival. The same rule applies to personal power. When your presence becomes selective, each appearance gains weight. Scarcity is not accidental. It is planned, and it takes on three forms: physical, digital, and emotional. First, physical scarcity. You limit your physical availability. Do not attend every meeting, event, or debate to which you are invited. Do not allow yourself to be drawn into every urgent issue that is thrown your way. Act according to your own schedule, not theirs. Show up where it matters, where your presence will have the greatest impact. They are there where it is convenient for others. And when you leave, do so clearly. Do not linger. Do not overstay. The more they see you on your terms, the more they remember you as a decisive individual. Second, digital scarcity. Most people become prisoners of their devices. Notifications control their attention. They respond instantly. In doing so, they train others to expect the same instant access at all times. Break this cycle. Do not respond immediately if it is not strategically beneficial. Create intentional space between their demands and your response. This space forces them to value your attention and to reflect. Do they still have it? It makes them realize that your time does not belong to them. This realization shifts the balance of power in your favor. Third, emotional scarcity. Not everyone deserves to know what you think, feel, or plan. Your inner world is not public property. Guard it like a safe. At the moment you make your emotions available to everyone, you lose your leverage. The moment you allow everyone to know about your desires and fears, you give them a blueprint for manipulating you. Keep some thoughts to yourself. Let them wonder. Mystery pertains not only to where you are, but also to what is happening in your mind. Now understand this clearly. Scarcity is not arrogance. It is about discipline. It is not about considering yourself better than others. It is about realizing that your presence, your time, your attention are finite resources. And like all limited resources, they become valuable when allocated wisely. You do not spend your presence like loose change. You invest it like gold, only where it will grow, only where it will yield returns. This is what happens when you decide to use scarcity to your advantage. People who valued you only for convenience will gradually begin to disappear. They were never truly devoted. They simply got used to access. Let them go. Scarcity is a filter. It sifts out opportunists who use you and waste your time. A smaller circle remains, but a stronger one. Those who stay will treat your time and attention as precious currency. You will notice that the quality of your interactions changes. Conversations will become sharper. more purposeful. People will prepare before they speak with you. They will weigh their words. They will cherish the seconds of your attention because they know they may not receive it again anytime soon. Scarcity compels people to treat you with the respect they should have shown you from the very beginning. The beauty of scarcity lies in its paradox. The harder you are to reach, the more people want to reach you. The less frequently you appear, the more they anticipate your presence. This is not a game of being hard to get. It is a reprogramming of social dynamics in a world where everyone is shouting to be noticed. The one who holds back becomes attractive. People are drawn to what they cannot easily obtain. And once you understand this, you completely stop chasing after anyone. You must also be strategic in your appearances. When you do show up, make it meaningful. Bring value, make an impact. Leave an impression that lasts long after you have gone. This enhances the effect of your scarcity, and people will remember not just that you were there. They will remember that when you were there, something happened. Important words were spoken, steps were taken that changed something, and more. Scarcity does not mean isolation. It does not mean you cut yourself off from the world. It means you move like a storm, not always in the heavens, but always possible. People respect the storm because they know it can appear without warning, change everything, and vanish just as quickly. Be that storm. Repeat this now. My presence is a privilege. Speak this until it becomes instinct, because once you truly understand it, you will never waste your presence again, and no one will treat it as something cheap. When you master scarcity, you gain control over protection and attraction, making yourself untouchable to those who want to use you, and unyielding to those who seek to earn you. This is the Machiavellian balance: to be untouchable, yet at the same time impossible to ignore. Number 7 is controlled unpredictability. Strength lies not only in being strong, but also in being unpredictable. Predictability is a weakness that most people never notice in themselves. They live by such obvious patterns that anyone observing them long enough can predict every move they make. This is how enemies, whether personal or professional, know where to strike. They know when you are vulnerable because you have taught them to expect it. Controlled unpredictability shatters this map. It makes your actions difficult to predict and your reactions unpredictable. When people cannot anticipate you, they cannot prepare for you. They approach with caution, weighing every step, never knowing which version of you they will encounter. This decisiveness gives you an advantage even before the conversation begins. What is the essence of Machiavellianism? A mind that can be predicted by everyone is a mind that can be manipulated. Your predictability is the enemy's plan. Destroy that plan, and you will dismantle their strategy. Controlled unpredictability does not mean chaos. It does not mean acting thoughtlessly or changing your behavior at random. That is for amateurs. True unpredictability is calculated. You consciously make choices to alter patterns and keep people guessing, but you always know why you are doing it. You are not unpredictable due to a loss of control. You are unpredictable because you control the situation. You do this in 3 key areas: movement, reactions, and decisions. First, movement. Do not always be in the same place at the same time. If you have a routine, it should be such that others think they know it. But from time to time, you break it without warning. One week, you are always available at a certain hour. The next week, you disappear at that time and reappear later. Never allow people to mark your exact patterns of availability. In the political world, This is how leaders prevent assassination attempts. In the psychological world, this is how manipulation is thwarted. Second, reactions. People try to understand you by testing your emotional buttons. They may know that a certain insult will provoke a response from you. They may know that a certain compliment will make you open up. Controlled unpredictability means that sometimes you respond and sometimes you do not, never the same way twice. One day, you let an insult slide by, and the next day, you sharply cut it off. One day, you respond to a compliment with praise, and the next day, you completely ignore it. They stop knowing which button to press and soon stop pressing any button at all. Thirdly, make the decision not to be someone whose choices are always obvious. If everyone can guess what you will agree to or refuse, you become an open book. Sometimes choose an unexpected path that still serves your overall strategy. This confuses people but does not throw you off course. It makes them think twice about their understanding of you, which undermines their confidence and slows down their actions. This is why unpredictability is so powerful. It creates a sense of potential danger without any effort on your part. People fear what they do not understand and respect what they fear. You become a figure they approach with caution because they know they cannot fully understand you, and in this caution, they grant you more space, more respect, and more deference than they otherwise would. Even Machiavelli advised rulers to appear one way while holding back their true plans. If people think they have figured you out, they will prepare for that version of you. When you show people something unexpected, something they did not plan for, it is as if you are pulling the ground out from under them. This is not just defense. It is like a fence disguised as unpredictability. But be careful. Such tactics only work when used precisely. If you are unpredictable in ways that could destroy trust with those few you truly value, you will destroy alliances. The art here lies in selective unpredictability. You make opponents guess, but remain reliable for those in your inner circle. A king who surprises his enemies instills fear. A king who surprises his allies is overthrown. Controlled unpredictability also has another hidden weapon: psychological fatigue. When someone cannot read you, they have to expend extra mental energy to observe you, track you, and try to understand you. Over time, this constant effort drains them. They become less aggressive toward you simply because analyzing you is exhausting. You win without direct confrontation because you exhaust their energy by simply going beyond their expectations. And this is where you become truly invulnerable. You combine unpredictability with the rarity we discussed earlier. If people do not see you often and cannot predict you when you do appear, you become a ghostly presence in their lives. They know you are out there. They know you might show up, but they have no idea when, how, or why. This is not certainty. It is power in its purest form. Think about predators in the wild. Prey fears them not because they are always in sight. They fear them because they could be anywhere. This is what you become. You are not an opponent to be fought. You are a force to be reckoned with at any moment. The best part is that once you create this image, you will not need to put in so much effort to maintain it. The memory of your unpredictability remains in people's minds. They will continue to calculate, continue to change their behavior around you, even when you do nothing differently. You have reprogrammed their interaction with you without their consent. That is why controlled unpredictability is such a high-level tactic. It is not about proving your strength in constant battles. It is about making the very battlefield unstable in your favor when no one knows where to stand. They move cautiously, and when they move cautiously, you can move freely. Comment on this now. I act on my own terms, because when you decide the terms, you decide the outcome, and when you are simultaneously rare and unpredictable, no one can hold you long enough to even attempt to control you. That is when you stop being just a player in the game and become the game itself, a psychological fixation. Every interaction you have with someone leaves a mark. Whether it is a 5-minute conversation or just a glance on the go, there is always a residue. Most people wander through their days, allowing these marks to be random, fully shaped by emotions and impulses or the influence of another person. They enter conversations without a plan, reacting as they feel in the moment, and leaving without considering what mark they have left behind. This is a mistake, and it robs them of influence. A person with a Machiavellian mindset never loses control over the final impression. The conclusion is everything. What people remember after you leave is often more significant than anything you did while you were there. This is where psychological attachment comes into play. The art of intentionally shaping the emotional tone that people will forever associate with you. People rarely remember the exact words you said. Their memory of details fades quickly. But how you made them feel does not disappear. That emotional mark lasts a long time. If you do not define what this mark will be, then someone else or the chaos of the moment will do it for you. And once the impression is fixed in someone's mind, it shapes all future interactions with you. So how can you take this process under control? The first step is to enter with intention. Before you enter a room, pick up the phone, or send a message, decide what impression you want to leave. It is not about being fake. It is about strategic self-presentation. Perhaps you want to exude authority, calm dominance, thoughtful warmth, unwavering distance, or even subtle intimidation. The right choice depends on your long-term strategy with this person or group. Are you planting the seeds of respect, creating a sense of mystery, building trust while maintaining your position? Whatever the goal, you define it before the first word is spoken. The second step is to create interaction. Every element of your communication should align with the impression you have chosen. If your goal is unwavering calmness, your tone should be steady, your breathing slow, and your pace measured. If you aim for authority, speak confidently and avoid filler words. If you want to create a subtle intimidation, maintain eye contact just a little longer than is comfortable, and then break it on your terms. If you wish to entice, say less, ask more questions, and allow them to fill the silence you leave. Your delivery is a sculptor's tool. The impression is the statue you are creating in their minds. The third step is to control the exit. This is the part that most people overlook, but this is where your true power lies. Most conversations end naturally with common goodbyes, awkward pauses, or someone else deciding that it is over. This behavior is typical of beginners. Do not allow the interaction to end according to someone else's schedule. You conclude it on your terms, and the final note on which you end should reinforce the impression chosen at the beginning. This may mean leaving after delivering one decisive phrase that will make them think. It may mean exiting with a light, knowing smile, hinting that you know more than you have revealed. Sometimes, before leaving, you need to pause so they understand that it is not them evaluating you, but you evaluating them. And this realization stays with them long after you have gone. Why is the moment of parting so important? Because people remember the peak of the impression and its conclusion. In psychology, this is called the peak-end rule. If you control the end, you control the memory. And if you control the memory, you control the story they tell themselves about you. This story becomes the reference point for all future interactions. The fourth step is to repeat, clarify, and reinforce. Reinforcement is not a one-time trick. It is a cumulative process. Every interaction should add another layer of the same core impression until it becomes undeniable. If you have decided that your secondary trait is calm dominance, then every meeting, every call, every message must radiate this quality until it becomes the only way they perceive you. You do not leave your reputation to chance. You design it like an architect building a fortress. The beauty of reinforcement is that over time it begins to work automatically. Once you have trained someone to associate you with a certain feeling, they will start to expect it even before they see you. If you have established yourself as a person whose presence commands respect, they will change their tone even before you say your first word. If you have reinforced caution, they will behave cautiously from the moment you enter the room. If you have established admiration, they will seek your approval even before you speak. This is the true advantage of Machiavellianism. You are not just reacting to the present moment. You are shaping the future. By designing how others perceive you. Every time you interact, you plant a seed that will grow into behavior favorable to you. Quiet weapons and selective disruption. Once you have established an impression, you can amplify it, sometimes intentionally breaking it. Imagine you have established an image of a calm and composed person in any situation. At one moment, with a conscious choice, you will display a flash of cold, sharp intensity. Not uncontrolled rage, but calculated power. This moment will make a greater impact because it completely contradicts the image they are used to. You have shown them another facet of your control, that even your rare bursts of power are intentional. The protective advantage of anchoring also shields you from attempts to tarnish or undermine your reputation. If you have asserted yourself for years as a disciplined and strategic person, a sudden rumor of recklessness will carry no weight. It contradicts the version of you that people have already accepted as truth. Your consistency in anchoring becomes a counter to misinformation, so anchoring must be deliberate and sustained. It becomes not only your weapon, but also your armor. And here is what most people will never tell you. Anchoring is one of the few forms of power that works in silence. You do not need to confront people directly to shape their perceptions. You do not need to argue, defend, or prove your point. Your actions and presence speak for themselves. Over time, your anchor becomes so deeply rooted that even your absence continues to exert influence. When you leave, the image remains. When you are silent, your presence is still felt. When you exit a conversation, you remain in their thoughts. This is the highest level of influence. When you no longer need to be physically present to control the tone of interaction. Repeat now. I choose the impression I leave. Say it until it becomes instinct, because by choosing an impression, you control memory, and by controlling memory, you control the behavior it generates. This is psychological anchoring. It is the invisible hand on the wheel of human interaction. And when you master this, you will stop reacting to the world. The world will begin to react to you. Number 9, the untouchable mind. Everything you have heard, distance, silence, rarity, unpredictability, anchoring, This is not just a list of tactics. It is a blueprint for what few can build, a mind that no one can touch, a presence that belongs to no one, a will that no one can bend. This is the ultimate goal. This is where all the rules converge. The weak allow everyone to enter their lives. They give their time, attention, and emotions as if they cost nothing. They leave their gates open and then complain when their peace is disturbed, their energy drained, and their spirit depleted. But you, if you have followed this path, have done something different. You have built walls not to hide behind them, but to define the limits of access, not to isolate yourself, but to make it clear that entry must be earned, not taken for granted. You have turned your silence into a blade so sharp that it cuts without being drawn. You have made your absence a signal that speaks louder than your presence ever could. You have turned rarity into currency. You have infused unpredictability into your movements so that no one can anticipate your actions. You have anchored yourself in the minds of others so deeply that they cannot think of you without feeling exactly the emotions you have chosen for them. Understand what this means. You have taken control of the game at a level that most are not even aware of. They still think that power lies in shouting the loudest, being everywhere, winning public skirmishes. They do not understand that true victories are invisible, those won before the other side even realizes a struggle is taking place. People will notice that you have changed. They will feel it before they can name it. They will speak differently around you, restrained, cautious. They will hesitate before asking for something they once demanded without a second thought. Their old tricks, guilt, urgency, pushing, provocations will slide off you, leaving no trace. That is when they will understand. They no longer have the same access. The value of your attention has increased, and not everyone can afford it. This philosophy has been with us since Machiavelli, even before he laid it out in his rules. It is the balance point between fear, respect, and fascination. From the mundane to fear, it unites people against you. From excessive love, it allows them to take undue liberties. A cool mind holds the center, balancing these forces without being consumed by either. Now you are the storm on the horizon, unpredictable yet always possible. They do not know when you will appear, but they know for certain that it could happen. They do not know what you will do, but they are sure it will be significant. Your unpredictability is not chaos. It is a calculated risk for them and a thoughtful management for you. It is not certainty that is your shield. It repels the reckless. It is also your spear that pierces their confidence before they even speak. From here, every action you take must reinforce this unattainable image. Every interaction is an opportunity to remind them without unnecessary words that your time is valuable. Your attention is selective. Your reactions are deliberate. You have eliminated the noise, cut off opportunists, and silenced weak demands. You have surrounded yourself only with those who understand that being in your space is a privilege. And here lies the truth. Reaching this point, you will not have to impose rules as often. The rules will begin to impose themselves. People who previously wasted your time will stop approaching you. They have decided, in a lyrical suspension, that it is not worth it. Those who tried to manipulate you will retreat because they know you do not play by their script. You have redefined the terms of interaction. And now, whether they acknowledge it or not, everyone plays by your rules. But there is also a danger hidden here: comfort. When you become untouchable, It is easy to relax and think that the work is done. It is precisely then that erosion begins. An untouchable mind must be maintained as a weapon. Every day, when you are tempted to share too much, hold back. Every time you want to react, take a pause. Every time you think about chasing after something, stand still and let them come to you. This discipline keeps the blades sharp. There will be moments when the old world tries to pull you back. People will test your boundaries, attempting to provoke you to break through the walls you have built. Some will come with open hostility, while others will use sweet words. Neither should disturb you. You do not bend. You do not explain yourself. You do not relinquish control over your state to anyone for any reason. True victory is not about winning arguments or dominating interactions, but in not having to fight at all. An untouchable mind wins without battle because it makes battle impossible. It deprives the enemy of the conditions for confrontation. This is the highest form of power. And if you maintain this line, if you keep your silence sharp, your absence significant, your lack intentional, and your predictability precise, while your anchor remains steadfast, something remarkable will happen. The world will begin to change around you. People will adapt to you instead of you adapting to them. Your energy will no longer be scattered in 1,000 directions. Your attention will become a weapon that you can direct where it truly matters. Affirm this right now. You are not vulnerable in any way to hopes or desires, but as a statement of fact, as a declaration of the reality you have created. If you have listened to this point, it means you are ready not only to hear these truths, but to embody them in your life. It means there will be no half measures, no returning to old habits when it is convenient. You either live untouchable or you do not. You either control your reality or the world controls it for you. And now for the final step, make a choice. Choose to maintain this state despite the noise from the outside. Choose to value your presence so highly that others have no choice but to value it too. Choose to distance yourself from everything and everyone who demands more than they deserve. This is not cruelty. It is the discipline of a person who understands that his life, his mind, and his peace are not meant for general consumption. And if you want to maintain this advantage, if you want to continue honing it, secure it right now.